Here we go. Welcome to episode 147 of Nothing to Say, the Fans podcast. We are going to be talking about the NBA and the NFL during this episode, which is not something we've been able to do in a while because the NBA has been absent from our lives, but it is back. It is right around the corner. I think at this point, it's a week away from starting. I know I'm super excited for a lot of different reasons. I'm excited to watch the Kings, but I feel like I need to tamper my expectations every year.
They're going 40 wins.
40 wins. If
the
Kings got 40 wins, then it would maybe, and I think I'd have to wait till I saw it happen. It might make up for the fact that the Raiders are 1-4, but
I don't know. That's your first love right there.
That's true. I think if I had one thing to watch, like only had the choice of getting to watch one thing throughout the year, I would pick one Raiders football game probably. So they are my first love, but the Kings are a close second. So I don't know. We'll find out. But let's actually get into the NBA. Let's start with that first, and then we'll preview the games in Week 6 of the NFL. Let's talk about Draymond Green. So unless you've been living under a rock, I think. And I'm assuming if you're listening to the show, you're probably well informed of the fact that Draymond Green took a right hook to Jordan Poole, and I mean a pretty physical one too. Not really. I think there was some controversy about how the video got leaked in the first place, but regardless, the video got leaked. It's out there. Draymond's punch on Jordan Poole was, a haymaker. He went for him. If you watch the video, there's no way to kind of sugarcoat it. What we learned is what the formal punishment for Draymond is going to be. Now, I have an article from CBS Sports right here, and I'll read you this line from the article. It says, set to return to practice on Thursday, Green's formal punishment will be complete. A week away from the team, a fine of an undisclosed amount, and no suspension to speak of. So here's the thing. That, I think, for most people was really surprising. So I'll ask you this right now, Sam. What is your initial reaction to hearing that Draymond Green is only going to receive a fine and he is not going to get suspended?
I'm not surprised with the sort of the talks that have been coming out of the Warriors camp, what Steve Kerr has said, what others have spoken of. I know Damian Lillard came out and was like, hey, fights happen all the time. Fists are thrown during practice all the time. He's seen it. Steve Kerr has personal history with a fight breaking out, getting hit
the
by
receiving end of one of those.
Man, that has come up more, I think, in every sports conversation about this topic. But Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the face and blah, 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 blah. It's like the video, I think, makes it worse because of the public outcry of, wow, Jordan Poole did not look. It's the same thing with what we saw with Tua when he got hit. If Tua didn't look as bad where he was shaky getting off the field, when the second time he was like immovable after the hit, right? If he was able to get off and walk off the field under his own accord, I think there would be less of an outcry over what had happened, right? Same thing with the Jordan Poole situation. The way he just loses balance and like he's going down, right? If Draymond Green isn't there to stop him, he's going down a little bit. And I listened to Draymond's apology about it. I think he's right on. It's embarrassing for the organization. It's embarrassing for Jordan Poole and his family to be able to see that and to be dragged into this whole thing. It's embarrassing for Draymond, really, that a champion, a guy that has been known to have a big mouth, but man, he's been known to be a dirty player, at least in years past, right? It seemed like he had kind of put that behind him. He's on the NBA Countdown show with all the guys and really just putting on a good face, right? And then this comes out of nowhere in the middle of practice when they weren't even face to face for very long, right? It didn't even look like Jordan Poole was talking in Draymond's direction. but something must have been said that was a big old no-no. And then it escalated from there. So I'm not surprised that there wasn't a suspension because it seemed like the Warriors were trying to play it like it was no big deal. So the punishment kind of fits that.
Yeah, I was trying to put myself in that. I mean, in the situation of like, if I was on the receiving end of that punch, how would I feel about my teammate going forward after that?
No, get him out of
And
there.
I think it would depend on the context of how it happened a little bit. I mean, if it was completely unprovoked for no, which feels like such a stupid thing to say, because I don't think you just walk over to somebody and go, I'm gonna clock this dude and for no reason and just throw a punch. So I don't, obviously I'm, I'm assuming that something happened to make Draymond want to do that. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like if I was on the receiving end of that, I feel like maybe from a teammate perspective, at least from the on-court play, I think I can move past it. In terms of as soon as the game is over, how we're going to interact after that, I don't know. I don't really know. I think it would depend on who the person was. You and I were teammates for on a couple different sports teams. If you,
Dan, you hit me in the face once too.
I off a pass, I threw you a pass and you dropped it.
Yeah, but it had malicious intent. We all know.
Right, sure. So I mean, if you came over to me in an argument and punched me in the face, I mean, if it was you, I'd probably punch you back, but I think we just would kind of move past it.
Yeah.
If it was somebody who I didn't have a good relationship with, then I think it's a little bit different. But if we're just talking about the on the court stuff, I think it's pretty easy to move past that from an on the court perspective. It's like, our fight really has nothing to do with, us beating the Hornets one night. So I heard somebody say that Draymond not getting the suspension, that there was some people were asking, could Jordan Poole have been a part of saying, don't suspend him. It's not that big of a deal.
I could see that.
I could see that. I really could. I could see maybe Poole going, you know what? It happens. Whatever. I know Draymond. It wasn't cool, but whatever. It's not any. I don't want to cost the team games because of this.
I think that's totally credible. If you judge the punishment based off of Jordan Poole's reaction, and if he was making it a non-factor, then I think that definitely sort of almost credits a lesser punishment on it. Like if the guy that got punched is like, hey, Draymond's cool, like it's all fine, right? Then as an organization, I think you're in the position of, we're not going to make this a bigger deal than it is. If Jordan thinks it's not a big deal, then we're fine, right? We can our PR team can deal with the outside noise, right?
Yeah. It's an interesting situation, and I mean, not one that I've ever been in. I've gotten into arguments with teammates. I think we all have, but not ever to that extent. So I don't know. The closest thing that I've ever gotten to that, one of my teammates in high school, I played basketball all 4 years with him, Tommy. But for people who don't know him, we played against each other in middle school, and Tommy and I hated each other. I mean, I hated him, like from a sports side, like
I'd hate you too,
like a big time. I mean, I guarded him. I mean, he was a forward and I was a guard, but I just found myself always guarding him. And I mean, if we were under the hoop together, it was trying to be as dirty as possible with elbows and stuff. I wanted nothing to do with him on or off the court. And then when we went to the same high school, it was like, yeah, man, what's up? We're all good. Like, I mean, so it's.
Did you hate him because he just cooked you every time? Is that what happened?
No, he didn't. That was the thing. That was the thing. That was the thing.
Man. I could put up the best defense and he could just put in this bank shot for the win. That's awful.
not. I mean, we kicked his team's ass a bunch, like every time we played him. So I mean, I don't.
You're just
I
lucky
don't know
I
what to
got
say
cut
about
from
that.
that team.
I mean, but I think sports has a unique. There's kind of a unique dynamic going on in sports. I mean, one minute you can be arguing and like legit fighting with your teammates, and then the next minute it's all good. So I don't know how many other places in the public sphere people can do that. But at least in terms of sports, I mean, it happens. It really does. And yeah, I guess the Warriors aren't going to make that big a deal about it, and Poole's not going to make that big a deal about it. I guess there's no reason for anybody else to go, Draymond should be suspended for the year. It's like, well,
This
maybe
is
not. I mean, it happens.
an interesting thing that I think was brought up. If it came down to it and the relationship was so splintered, would you choose Jordan Poole or Draymond Green?
So
Which
I
one would
heard,
you keep and which one would
yeah,
you get rid of, right?
yeah. So I heard somebody say almost the same thing. They just said like, who's more important to the Warriors right now? Is it Draymond or Poole?
It's
And probably
easy.
for the future, probably Poole.
Yeah.
For the current iteration of the team,
Still Jordan Poole.
probably, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Currently, I think it's much closer than the future of the organization, obviously. But I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that yet, only because Draymond has a much more substantial track record for what he does for the team than Poole. I mean, Poole, it was really last season where he showed up and was like, okay, he definitely is one of the main pieces of the Warriors. Draymond has been that for every championship, so I don't know. It's hard for me to say Poole definitively right now.
Draymond's a donkey anyway. It's fine. That's not fair. He's a human being, but he shouldn't go punching his teammates.
No, he shouldn't. I definitely agree with that. So Draymond Green, pretty much no suspension. Nothing. Well, zero suspension, but pretty much no punishment for Draymond Green.
Draymond Green confirmed bad guy.
Confirmed bad guy.
In your eyes, does this change the perspective that you had of Draymond Green as the player in person?
Unfortunately, no. I think he's been painted sort of as a dirty player. I don't think he's a bad person.
In your eyes, right? Maybe you can't take out like the media perception, right? Of how if you're just watching a game and you see up and down the court Draymond's yelling at refs, right, on every single call. I think that gives you a certain feeling, right? And now this comes out. Heck, let's go back to the kicking Draymond when he was shooting and kicking, and when he tried to hit LeBron in the balls when LeBron stepped over him, and there's just different things that is like we're kind of getting a little picture here.
Maybe, but if I'm not going to come down ridiculously hard on Devontae Adams for pushing a guy over, then
we'll talk about that.
Which we
we will talk about that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's made some poor choices.
That's very wise of you right there. That's taking the high road.
Thank you.
Here, Draymond Green confirmed bad guy.
Okay. So I might be very wise, but some of the decisions that the NBA make appear not to be. So let's talk about this new rule that they're enacting for next season. So it was posted on ESPN about 10 hours ago. It says NBA players will no longer be allowed to yell at 3-point shooters in front of them this season as part of a new rule. Now, from the NBA officially, the tweet was unsportsmanlike technical assessed for players not in game who enter playing court or making distracting move. So I understand not entering like the actual court.
That's been a rule.
But come on, like yelling at somebody and distracting them during the shot. Come on.
I'm pretty sure it's been a
Really?
rule. I know for like altercations when there's a conflict, all the players that are on the bench that step on the court, I think, are automatically like ejected or fined or checked. I think that's a rule, but maybe this is different now, like at any time.
Well, so even just going off of the caption, not being able to yell at players shooting threes in the like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Like at the end of the day, there's somebody right behind the bench who's not a part of the team who's also yelling at that guy. So does it really matter if there's 10 more voices adding to the 18,000 people that are in the state? No, what is?
I can't wait for the first time it's called.
Dumbest rule ever.
I can't wait for the first time it's ever called. So our idea of helping out refs is to add another element. Not only are they watching players' feet if they're going out of bounds, if it's a three or not a three, but now they also have to listen to a arena full of people, but you have to pinpoint exactly if the guy on the bench is yelling three.
Well, here's the thing. If you're the referee and you just pointed out something that I hadn't even thought of, you are adding another element that the referees have to pay attention to. So if you have a referee who's looking down at a shooter's feet to see if it's a three, how are you going to be able to look at the bench? Like, what if I was just like, three? And like, would the referee come over and be like, okay, which one of you? Which one of you yelled three?
Hey, we're going to review. Let's review it. And we're reviewing which player yelled three on the opponent.
Or just like, what are we doing here? How are you going to watch that?
And right here, you can see, let's slow it down, slow it down. He does he say three, John? We don't know if he makes out the word three. You know, it is the call that if he just yells during an opponent's three-point shot attempt, that is a technical foul.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's enough there to overturn this call, John.
I don't know what we're doing there. Like what is there? There had to be somebody in the meeting that went, we can't really do this, right? Like we're not actually thinking about doing this, right?
But an NBA rules official shows up late. Hey guys, what did I miss? Oh, we got a great rule. It's unanimously voted upon. We're passing it. Big problem last year. Guys were yelling three during opponents' threes in the corner. Huge problem, leading to probably the overall destruction of the game. Inevitably, right? So we're just getting rid of it right now. No brainer. Oh, yeah, totally.
And then he turns to Silver. They're not serious, right? No, we're dead serious.
Yo, Adam, you hear about this? So we're not talking about Phoenix's owner right now. We're talking about the rule. We're not talking about Draymond. No, we're talking about the rules of bench etiquette during a game, right? Even though
can you imagine if they would do this in college with all of the bench like shenanigans, like people holding other players? Like there are college teams who are like famous for their distraction. Can you imagine if that eked its way into college? Oh, dude, I don't think that this solves literally anything. I think this is one of those things.
I didn't know this was a problem.
No, I feel like this is going to create more problems than it solves.
I think you're taking away, first off, it's not that big of a deal. You're taking away 10 voices from a arena full of 17,000.
The music playing is probably going to be louder.
Like, I don't think this is going to be a big deal.
No.
Secondly, it's a added element, the fact that Steph Curry and these sharpshooters are able to block out all the noise and, quite frankly, turn around as the shot is going in right in the bench's face.
And feed it right back to him, yeah.
That is an added element that just demonstrates these guys' immense talent.
Yeah.
Why are we now being like, oh, we need to take that away? You know what? It's too hard on Steph and some of these shooters, right? It's just so distracting when you're shooting and you got guys yelling behind them, even though a crowd is screaming if they're on the road, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to have been there for the proposition of this rule change.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall. I agree. I mean, there's some fun. There's some fun in basketball when it comes to hitting a three in front of the other bench after they just scream a bunch of trash at you and just turning right back around and either giving it right back to them, or like there's no incentive to really do that. Like if they're silent on the bench, you turn around and go like, you just flex at them. It's like, okay. But like if they're talking trash to you, then you have a reason to turn around and kind of give it back. And that's what that's what makes sports fun. Well, one of the things that makes sports fun, it's like, it's just part of the competitiveness of the sport. And I don't know, whatever. Dumb rule from the NBA. And I think the NBA honestly gets so much right when it comes to the decisions that they make for their league and their players. I don't understand this one at all. I really don't. So if you were ever paying attention to players yelling on the sideline, just know it's not happening anymore. All right.
I'm telling you, I can't wait for the first time it happens.
It's
late in the game, a Kings player is gonna stand up, yell something while an opponent's shooting a three, and I'm gonna scream at my TV. What are you doing? Sabonis, sit your butt down and don't yell.
I know. Stop yelling. I don't get it. I don't get it at all, truthfully, but whatever. We'll see. Well, actually, I mean, who knows how much of an impact it's actually going to make, but I mean, come on now. All right.
3-point percentage is going to skyrocket. Guy's going to be shooting 60% now.
That'll be the day.
Someone's going to just come to the podium. I told you so. That's it.
Yeah. For a corner three, which by the way is already like a freaking layup in the NBA right now anyway for most players. So
big time.
All right. Let's move our way towards the NFL. Move away from the NBA and we'll start talking about week 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you can actually hit people.
Yeah.
And you can wrap up and you can take them down to the ground. And that's a tackle.
But you can also get a roughing. You can also get a roughing the passer.
Oh, you can actually lose the game for no good
reason.
Yeah, you can lose the game for your team.
Which, we don't have to dive too deep into either one of the calls, because the one on Tom Brady, or the one that Tom Brady was gifted, was, I think, worse than the one that Derek Carr was gifted, because honestly, well, first of all, they both sucked. And that's been a huge talking. That's just like, they were both terrible calls. I remember looking at Bree because she was watching the game with me, and she was like, she was asking me what happened, and I was like, we just got a freebie. like I looked at Bree, I was like, I'm all for 15-yard penalties for the Raiders, but it should be the Chiefs ball right now. I was like, we got away with one. And the Tom Brady one was bad too, because it was just worse. Because like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you're asking defenders to do the most impossible thing with I don't know. I mean, yeah.
And I think it's interesting, and we'll just touch on it a little bit. First off, the Chris Jones play to actually strip that ball.
Yeah, he just took it from him.
I mean, that was an incredible play for him to do that mid-sack, right? But when we're pigeonholing these guys to, you're getting around world-class linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you did that part, which is you kind of do, I don't know, 15% of the time, right? Maybe 25% of the time if you're incredible, right? You're getting to the quarterback. The quarterback can move any which way. So you don't have a free shot at him. And now we can't even wrap up and get him down. So what happens with, you're just going to sort of try to wrap up, but then a Lamar Jackson, a Josh Allen, Justin Herbert breaks that tackle and breaks off for a first down. Are you a D lineman sitting there like, I can't do anything. All I'm trying to do is wrap him up to stop this play and get a sack. If I try to go low, it's a penalty. If I try to go a little high, that's a penalty. Now, if I try to wrap up and bring him to the ground to make sure that he doesn't break this tackle, because quarterbacks are becoming world-class athletes now, Lamar Jackson's going to break that tackle, right? If you let that happen, you could lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're really giving these guys zero option to get a tackle, to get a sack.
Yeah, it's ridiculous what they're asking these defenders to do. And I'll just say this one last thing on it too. Greeny brought up a good point. He was saying that when you think about it, when Chris Jones like actually takes the ball from Derek, in that split second, Derek is no longer a quarterback. Chris Jones becomes a runner. So the actual act of falling on him shouldn't result in a penalty regardless, because the rules, quote unquote, for what a quarterback is protected by, it's gone. Because Derek's a defender now. So yeah, both terrible calls for that benefited the Bucs and benefited the Raiders. No, it didn't help the Raiders in the end, but whatever. All right, so let's move to week 6 of the NFL season. We're not going to do move change today, but we're going to preview 3 games. We're going to give you the worst, the best, and the most interesting game of the weekend. So the worst game of the weekend, and it's got to be the worst game maybe of the season so far. I couldn't think of 2 teams that I'm less interested in watching, but it's the Thursday night primetime game with the Commanders and the Bears. Flex this game for the love of God. I know you can't flex things backwards, but I mean, just get it. Just don't even give us a Thursday night game. Move it to Sunday at 10 a.m.
Yeah, if you're Amazon, are you sitting there like, this might be worse for business?
This is what we paid for. Bears, Commanders.
This is the $1 billion deal that we signed. Give us the 1-4 Commanders versus the 2-3 Bears.
And think about it. After the game we had last week with the Colts and the Broncos,
they've had some awful Thursday night games.
Dude,
really, primetime as a whole has been kind of poor.
On paper, the Broncos-Colts game looked significantly better than this one actually looks. So it's hard to say that it can be any worse than what happened last Thursday, but it might be.
Oh, it definitely might be. It for sure is. I'm not excited at any part of that game.
Justin Fields is an exciting player to watch, but they're not asking him they're not like letting him throw. So that is, I mean, the one thing you'd be interested really in watching is potentially Justin Fields, but they're not really asking him to do anything now. McLaurin's fun to watch. Samuel's fun to watch. Wentz has kind of been throwing it around the yard recently, but I don't know. I'm really not excited, but you know what you can be excited
thrown under the bus, though.
That's true. You know what you can be excited for, though? That the Bears are introducing a new helmet on Thursday night. I didn't
even hear about that.
Yep. Yeah. So you can be interested in that. Jenna will be maybe happy to see the new uniform. I don't know.
She'll watch.
All right. So that is the worst game
by far
for week 6.
Worst game of the year.
Is so far. It had my vote. The best game this coming weekend is got to be the Bills and Chiefs. Has to be the Bills and Chiefs. Now, Chiefs are at home. We'll make our picks later, but couldn't think exactly contradicting what we said earlier about the Commanders and the Bills. Couldn't think of 2 teams like probably the 2 least interesting teams in the league, maybe. Now you're talking about the Bills and the Chiefs. Might be the 2 most interesting teams in the league.
Yeah, two of the top 3 teams in the NFL right now. No doubt. They played last year with all the hullabaloo about overtime, and a rule change got created because of this matchup. Patrick Mahomes is playing unbelievable with limited weapons. Josh Allen is putting up 400 yards in one half last week. Like, these 2 teams are firing on all cylinders, and this should be the Monday night game. I don't want to see the AFC West bias anymore with Denver Chargers.
Well, Denver doesn't need to be on any more.
How the heck are they getting? They're on primetime every week.
Yeah. So let me ask.
Let Russ go.
Let me.
10 points.
Right. Just dropped him on my fantasy team in favor of Geno Smith.
I bet that was a breath of fresh air.
Dude, it was. So let me ask you a question. Do you know what the line is for this Bills-Chiefs game?
Bills are favored, right?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes begins the week in new territory. This is from ESPN, a home underdog for the first time in his career. They open as a 2.5 point underdog.
That's disrespect.
Against the Bills.
That's complete utter disrespect. First off, I think the Chiefs have played better than the Bills this year because if the Bills aren't blowing a team out, they're losing.
Well, they've only lost one game.
They got gifted one against Baltimore because of a pretty controversial ref in the pass call. But the Chiefs have looked so good. Just methodical every single time. And getting that win from being down 17-0 to a division rival who was game to play on Monday night.
Hey, they were gifted that win too. The Chiefs were gifted that win. If Devontae just doesn't bobble it right at the end, Carlson walks out there, he kicks field goal, and Chiefs are sitting at 3-2. So I mean, I know that
was the guy that you traded for all those assets.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, was he the guy that pushed that right?
Yeah, he was.
Was he that guy?
But I mean, you got to admit, like, if he catches that ball, Raiders are in field goal range. They have the second best kicker in the league.
Yeah, but we just spoke about if Chris Jones gets that sack fumble, then the Raiders don't score that position. If
the Raiders score the 2-point conversion, then they don't. Then they get that stop that we're talking about. So we can talk ifs, ands, or buts the whole night.
But you started the ifs, ands, and buts.
But what I'm saying is that the Chiefs, you were talking about the Bills, getting gifted a win. The Chiefs, they, for all intents and purposes, had lost that game until that review came back. So.
Hey, nice call on it, though. You got to agree with it.
It was the correct call.
Yeah.
It was the correct call. 100% the correct call.
Hey, good job, refs. Make up
call. Yes, that was the correct call. As much as it paid me, that was the correct call.
But I think the fact that it's in Arrowhead, it should matter against these two teams who I think are evenly matched.
I'll give away my pick right now. I think the Bills are going to win that game. I really do. I think they're going to be absolutely. I can't imagine that everybody on that team is not still absolutely flamed from last season.
Don't matter.
And I really do think the Bills are going to go in there and beat the Chiefs.
Perfect. We know we're different on one.
All right. All right. So that is definitely going to be the best game of the weekend. So we're predicting. However, the most interesting game, maybe from a storyline standpoint, is going to, because obviously we can't pick the same game. We're going to pick the Cowboys and the Eagles. That is the Sunday night game. So this is a huge, huge divisional matchup in the NFC East. So
the best division in football.
It looks like. So bunch of different storylines at play here. One, you have the whole Cooper Rush thing. Can he continue his magical run? Two, you have the Dallas Cowboys defense, which appears like it could be the best defense in the league. I mean, there's a case to be made that they are the best defense in the league, playing against Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, who have been really, really good on offense. I mean, they've put up 38, 24, 24, 29, and they only put up 20 last week, but they've been a pretty potent offense. And plus, you're playing against a quarterback who isn't a traditional pocket passer. So it'll be interesting to see if Jalen can kind of negate the pass rush a little bit with his legs. And then on the other side, you have a really good Philadelphia defense who's playing against, again, Cooper Rush, who hasn't turned the ball over once yet. Can they stop the Dallas Cowboys run game?
Big question.
Really, really interesting game for a lot of different reasons. Plus, it's going to be, it's a pivotable. It's I almost said it again.
A pivot table?
it's a very big game in the division.
There it is. There it is.
For both, because I'm gonna say it again because I can hear it. It's a big game for division standings because obviously you're talking about the 1 and 2 in that division, and if the Cowboys win, then they take control of the division. So
yeah, it's absolutely pivotal.
Pivotal. Right.
Yeah, I think it starts with the quarterbacks. If you're going into this game as a Cowboy fan, I think you're confident because in your eyes, this team's undefeated. With the current guy that's in quarterback right now, they're 4-0. And I'd have that really feel it. They have a formula down that I think they gotta love. Score about 20 points, and this defense is gonna do what it does. Turn the ball, turn opponents over, get after quarterbacks, playing really sound in the secondary. They're playing phenomenal. I don't even think they're giving up like 15 points to anyone. Which is absolutely how do they do that in the NFL today with all the rules? We just spoke about a new rule that changed it for roughing the passer. I mean, they are with all the rules pointing towards helping offense. This defense is playing phenomenal.
So they have given up over 15 points, but their average might be around 15. They gave up 19 to the Bucs, which was game 1, but then they only gave up 17 to the Bengals, 16 to the Giants, 10 to the Commanders, and then 10 to the Rams. So their averages might be hanging around 15. So a very interesting game for a lot of different reasons. Let's actually start moving into picks since we're talking about these games. So last week, Sam ended up winning. He had the Saints beating the Seahawks. That happened. He had the Chiefs beating the Raiders. I had the Patriots beating the Lions. So it was 2-1. Sam will put up the percentages for how much we actually got right. I actually think we did fairly well.
Yeah, we actually did really well.
We both had the Jets winning that game, and man, that felt good to get that right. We're ahead on that one. So let's see if we can make some magic happen again with our picks. Let's go Commanders Bears because we have to pick that one.
I think the Commanders are a better team. I think they've played better football, but I'm going to take the Bears.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think the Commanders are a better football team, but go Bears. I don't know.
I think the Bears defense has played well.
They have a pretty good defense, yeah. And Fields might be able to make something happen.
All the storyline of let me ask you this. Everything that's come out about Ron Rivera's quotes about Carson Wentz being the problem is pretty much what was said, right? And now they've had to talk about it and reflect on it. Do you think that's going to impact them in a short week?
No.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I'm sure Rivera and Wentz have talked.
I hope so.
I don't know. I feel like there are bigger things to worry about at this point on a Thursday night game.
I feel like it's a huge distraction.
It could be, but I also think that it very easily it's very easy to also look past and be like, look, we have a game Thursday. Like, we'll settle this later.
Yeah, it's not a punch in the face. So
no. All right, Ravens, Giants. Giants are at home. Are you confident enough to pick the Giants against the Ravens?
I'm picking the Ravens.
I agree. I didn't pick.
I don't think I picked the Giants once.
I don't know if I don't know what it's going to take for me to look at the Giants and go, absolutely, I'm going to pick them.
Right.
It might be this game if they beat the Ravens, because then they'll have beaten the Packers and the Ravens. So it might be this one, but it's great that they're 4-1, and I would do anything to trade places, to have my team trade places with them. So I can't say that at this point they're not better. Dude, it's so hard. I was looking back at the Raiders games. They have lost these games 1 point, 2 points, 6 points, 5 points. It's it's such a nightmare because they're in all whatever. We're
Gotta put that on the quarterback, right?
we're done. No, I don't at all. Derek had a great game against the whatever. We're moving past this. I'm picking the Ravens. You pick the Ravens. Colts, Jags.
Ooh, great game.
I'm taking the Jags. I think.
Really?
Maybe.
It's in Indy.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor's probably playing.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think it would change my opinion either way.
I'm kind of down on the Jags, and I was really up high on them 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna take the Colts.
All right. First differential pick. Next one's gonna be the Patriots and the Browns.
Ugh. Give me the Browns.
I'm gonna take the Patriots. I think. I mean, God, they shut out Lions, the number one offense in the league. They almost beat the Packers. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Patriots. All right, let's go Bengals, Saints.
Bengals.
I think so too. Saints. I mean, dude, I was so confident that the Seahawks were gonna win. I mean, they were so close.
That was a good game, though. Seahawks.
It was a great game.
Are a great watch. Seahawks.
They're fun.
Seahawks and Lions most weeks because they both have really high-powered offenses for no reason, and their defenses are trash.
Yeah. All right. Bucks and the Steelers. I got the Bucks in a landslide.
I don't think. I said this last week. I thought the 14-point line was way too big between Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Wasn't big enough. I'll take the Bucks for sure. Now that they're healthy, they're really running in form.
I think we both got the 49ers against the Falcons. So then that moves us to the Jets and the Packers. Two teams that are both 3-2.
I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah.
I think this is a must win.
For the Jets, I agree. I agree.
Hey, Jets look good, man.
Their defense, they play hard. Dolphins, Vikings.
Robert Saleh effect.
Yeah.
I'll take Vikings. I wish Tua was healthy for this game because I would take Miami, but I'll take Minnesota.
I would take Miami in a heartbeat if Tua was healthy, but he's not. So yeah, give me Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Rams, Panthers. Two teams that are kind of in shambles right now.
Yeah, give me the Rams.
Yeah, I agree. Cardinals, Seahawks. That might be a really fun game.
It's in Arizona.
It is not.
So it's in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. The 12s.
Ain't no 12s this year.
I'm going with the Seahawks again. I am going to ride or die with my fantasy quarterback.
I picked up Gino in another league.
Ride or die with my fantasy quarterback. Let's go, Gino.
I'm going to take the Cardinals.
Let's go, Gino. I hope it translates to a win and a good performance from him. All right, Bills, Chiefs. Well, we already know.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yep, I got the Bills.
Home of the.
I can't wait for the Bills to smack them. All right, here we go. Cowboys, Eagles.
I want to pick Cowboys, but I think the Eagles are too good. I really think they're just too good. It's in Philly. Okay, I got one right at least. I'll take the Eagles.
I'm going to take the Eagles. The Eagles are the best defense so far that Cooper Rush will have faced.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I know the Bengals haven't given up a second half touchdown this season.
Yeah.
And the Rams have a pretty good defense, but they're not playing like it this year. I think Darius Slay is going to take away CD. And now that may not be the the biggest thing in the world for them because they're running like crazy right now. But the Eagles have a great defensive line. So give me the Eagles at home and Philly just going berserk during the game.
Yeah, I'd love to see that atmosphere.
And then give me the Chargers over the Broncos.
I hope so. Chargers Nation, if you guys lose to Let's Ride, whoo-wee, all those expectations are going to be coming crashing down right in their face.
Yeah.
I think both of these coaches will not be coaching these teams next year.
I don't think that's an outrageous thing to say.
You know what I don't get, right? And we don't call for guys' jobs ever. We're in position, no entitlement to ever do that. It's just baffling to me that he comes from the offensive side of the ball and Denver looks completely inept on offense.
Yeah.
Right? I can understand if the defense was trash, but the offense looked competent. Is it Russ and he's just not buying in, or is it Nathaniel Hackett's system?
Did Aaron Rodgers make Nathaniel Hackett look good, or is Russ not as good as everybody thought? I guess we'll find out by the end of the season, maybe.
And Brandon Staley is supposed to be a defensive guy, and the Chargers defense has underachieved. Granted, a lot of injuries this year, but
and the 2 point can. I mean, going on fourth down, like going for, like first downs. The 4th and 1s, the 4th and 2s, the 4th and 5. Like, dude, like I know they won the game last week, but his decision to go for it was not the right call. And just because it ended up working out for them doesn't hindsight doesn't mean it was the right call in the moment. It worked out for you, but
you greenlight it every time now.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it was the right call.
I think Herbert would be insane with an offensive-minded head coach.
Give him to like Matt LaFleur or somebody.
No. Sean Payton coming out of retirement, going to the Chargers. Are we joking? Because it's literally
that would be the worst thing for the AFC West.
The play call comes in. Okay, Herbert, you're gonna sit in the pocket. You got one read. If that doesn't work, sorry about it. Make us look good. That's what the offense is.
Yeah.
There is no creativity in that Chargers offense. It's literally snap the ball. Oh, Keenan's not open. Mike's not open. Let me make him open by throwing it between a guy's legs.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, too, is, you talk about Sean Payton coming out of retirement, which actually was a good call. He was sort of loosely rumored, kind of attached to maybe replacing Mike McCarthy in Dallas. And Mike McCarthy appears to be coaching himself into that job. So if there is going to be an opening, Sean Payton might be looking. I could easily see Sean Payton looking at the Chargers job and going, yeah, I went from Drew Brees to Justin Herbert. Yes, please. That's a great call. Let's mark that down and remember that, because I am 100% on board for that. As much as I think it would be the worst thing for the AFC West.
What's his name? I just had his name. Eric Bieniemy.
Or that.
Get him to Los Angeles, or Kellen Moore. The OC.
Actually, no, get him to Las Vegas. I love it.
You guys already have an offensive-minded head coach.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we do have one problem. We're on 4 games right now. We need somebody to flip.
Yeah. So what are we the same on? We're Colts, Jags.
So Colts, Jags, Patriots, Browns, Seahawks, Cardinals, Bills, Chiefs.
Okay.
Should one of us flip on the Giants? Should one of us take the Commanders?
Gee, I would feel dirty taking the Commanders. Who the Bucks are playing the Steelers. That's a no.
Mm-hmm. That's a no.
The Vikings are playing Miami. Oh, I don't even know who the third string quarterback
It's their third
is.
string quarterback. I wouldn't feel good about that either.
I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's probably the absolute smartest switch anywhere.
I feel like that's the safest.
That is definitely the safest. All right, so we are different. Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs, Seahawks, Cardinals, Patriots, Browns, Jags, Colts.
I think we're gonna have a good week.
I think it's gonna be fun. I definitely think this is gonna be a fun week of football. So thank you all so much for sticking around for the end of episode 147. We really do appreciate it. God, my grammar today has been
Man, this episode has been pivotal.
Pivotal. All right, well, have a great week, and we will see you all next week for another episode. Bye.
See ya.